Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hey, welcome to another week of life-changing ministry on New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, taking calls for 2 hours today at 1-800-229-3000. And there are many topics we can talk about today, including fear, anxiety, uncertainty, people-pleasing, negative thoughts, whether yours towards somebody else or someone else's towards you. Maybe you've got children or grandchildren who are in the court system for things they've done, and you're wondering how to handle that. We can talk about all this and more. Give us a chance to help you in the same way that we have helped thousands of people. I'm surrounded by licensed marriage and family therapists today. 𝑳𝒊𝒄𝒆, good to have you on.
It's great to be on, Brian.
And Marc Cameron's on the program as well. I can tell you've got something on your mind.
I do. So today I want to talk about the difference between being responsible for and being responsible to. Now, okay. It's a nuanced difference here, but it's important to understand this. So we can each only be responsible for ourselves, because being responsible for, it means taking ownership and accountability for actions and the consequences they bring. And so we can each really only be responsible for our own actions. We can't be responsible for other people's actions and those consequences. While being responsible to means maintaining a healthy attitude and making thoughtful decisions in a relationship with someone else. Now, being responsible for is really about your own growth, and being responsible to is about encouraging someone else's growth. So, for example, if you are doing things to calm other people down or to please them when they're capable of doing it themselves, that's actually taking too much responsibility for someone else, because they should be calming themselves down. On the other hand, if someone's struggling and you can clearly help, or you withhold emotional connection from someone, then you're not being responsible to enough towards someone else. So emotional avoiders tend to overemphasize being responsible for, and they just want everyone to be responsible for themselves, and so they lack being responsible to, whereas people pleasers can tend to be too responsible to, if that makes sense, and not enough responsible for, because they're calming other people down. And then there's some people who are just more relationally idealistic, and they can at times not be responsible for enough because they blame other people for problems, and then not be responsible to enough because they protest to try and get what they want. And so it's a nuanced difference here, but we have a lot of listeners who are struggling with this, and we actually have a lot of callers who call in, and this is really one of the major underlying problems, is they don't know, where do they stop helping, or where do they begin helping. So learning to do this is, if you're an avoider, learn to see that your emotional avoidance actually can abandon other people, and so you need to increase your responsibility there. And if you're a people pleaser, learning to say no and tolerate when others are disappointed in you. And then if you tend to be that more idealistic, vacillating person who vacillates back and forth between what you want, learning to recognize that when you criticize and you protest or you manipulate instead of using vulnerability, that takes away both of those aspects. And so it's learning to seek that balance in relationships.
Yeah. JJ, any thoughts?
I love that distinction, Mark. Thank you so much for bringing that. And it's something that we talk about in our offices all the time, right? We're trying to get people to recognize, yes, you're responsible for you, but you're still responsible to others. And so thank you for sharing that distinction.
So we can talk about this today here on New Life Live, or like I said earlier, anything you want to talk about. People pleasing, responsibility, it's all on the table. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube right now, thanks for watching. Thank you for sharing the video on your social media platform. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Now, I want to say thank you for calling. So call in 1-800-229-3000, and we'll be back with Rosa coming up in just a little bit.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Dallas, Texas, July 18th through the 20th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
The fact that we encounter adversity is not nearly as important as the way we choose to deal with it. That truth is from this morning's New Life Daily Devotion. We send it bright and early every weekday morning, so it'll always be one of the first emails you see. You can subscribe to our daily devotion at the footer of our website, newlife.com. And we're going to go to the phones now, beginning with Rosa in Lincoln, Nebraska, who's watching us on Facebook right now. So we'll wave hi to Rosa. Thanks for calling in today. How can we help you?
Well, I have a couple questions.
All right.
I have a grandson who is in jail. He's has addictions, and he's been through it a lot. His parents have tried to help so many. Well, I'm wondering about attending court dates. Is that important to have family support there? It is about a 6-hour drive for me, but I mean, I'm more than willing if it would give him hope. And then also he has 2 kids, and their mom is not allowing any of us to have a relationship with them now. We're very close to them. We FaceTimed all the time, and they would come and visit, and that's very harmful. So, I mean, hurtful.
Yeah.
So, any advice?
Okay. JJ, we'll start with you. What would you say to Rosa?
Hi, Rosa. Goodness, my heart just goes out to you. It's so hard to watch loved ones make destructive choices again and again and again. And I don't have any grandkids yet, but I can only imagine it's compounded when it's your grandchild. So I appreciate your heart. A couple quick questions. You mentioned that the mom of the 2 great-grandchildren, I assume to you, the mom of those 2 great-grandchildren has banned the family from interacting. Do you know why she did that? Does she give a reason?
No, she won't communicate. I'm assuming, and I can kind of understand, but we've had a wonderful relationship. But he has some domestic violence charges, and I'm just. She had a restraining order that he could not, but that was lifted, that he could talk to the kids on the phone, but she won't respond to those.
Okay. And they're obviously not together anymore.
No, they are not.
Okay.
And is that why he's got this court appearance coming up, Rosa? For that domestic violence charge? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And then the final question is, have you spoken with your grandson about whether he wants you to be at his court appearances or not? Have you had any communication with him?
He is very prideful, and and I think we haven't necessarily talked about that, but he's told his mom that he doesn't want me there. This was previously. This isn't this at this time. But
in the past, he has asked for you not to be there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, or doesn't want me.
Doesn't want you at the court appearances, or doesn't want you involved in his life?
Oh no, No, at a court appearance. Pride.
At a court appearance. Okay,
no.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So there's a couple things here that you want to keep in mind. Rosa, I'm sure for you it's very hard to not be there because you love your grandson and you want to be there to support him. You want to do whatever you can to help him. And I get that, and that is admirable. But there's another side to the equation. So part of it certainly could be pride on your grandson's part, and some of it could just be pain, emotional pain for him. That here I am, I'm in jail, I'm in jail clothing in the courtroom, and my grandmother who loves me has to see me this way, and that may be really painful for him. And so you may want to think about it just from the perspective of, is this, even though you want to support him, does he perceive that as support, or does he perceive that as, oh, it's embarrassment, I'm kind of put on display for all of my sins, all of my shortcomings, and the people I love the most important people in my life are having to view me this way. So that maybe just be a different perspective to look at.
Yeah, Mark?
Yeah, I love that you want to support him, Rosa. That is amazing, because it probably does feel lonely in the place where he's at. But like JJ's saying, there may be a lot of shame. Here's another side that I want you to think about too, because while you do want to show up and support him, his, I think, is it his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend who he has the children with, she may see it that you're coming to support him, and not just that you're coming to support him, but that means you're against her, and that may end up reinforcing that you're not safe. And so I don't want the grandkids or the great-grandkids to have anything to do with you, because it sounds like that, again, it's, you're innocent until proven guilty, but it sounds like, it's a very painful thing why he's going to be going to court for, for harming her. So that's just another dynamic I think you want to think about, and you might want to communicate to the mother of your great-grandchildren here, his wife, and just let her know that you love them all and you want to support them all, and maybe ask her, what's the best way that I can support you? So that would be my suggestion.
And can I add to that? Don't underestimate the power of writing letters. So maybe it's not good for you to be at the court date, but to write a letter to your grandson, letting him know how much you care about him, how much you're praying for him, supporting him, whatever. I think that can be helpful. And as well, if in fact the mother of your great-grandkids isn't letting you have access to them right now, perhaps you could write a letter to her in the idea of what Mark just shared of, hey, yes, I love my grandson, and of course I'm going to support him as much as I can, but not at the expense of caring for my great-grandchildren and caring for you. What can I do to support you? I think that would be a way to try to reach out to her to hopefully mend some brokenness there.
And showing up to be there for someone, to have presence, is not the same as approving of their actions.
That's right.
So that's an important difference, that you might, if you do that, you might want to communicate that to his wife or his ex-wife.
Okay.
You think this will work, Rosa?
I appreciate it. I think that was great, because I was feeling bad about, I didn't know if that would look good for the court, that he does have family that loves him and wants to support him, but I hear what you're saying. And I do have a letter ready to get in the mailbox.
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in today, Mark. What were we going to say? Oh, I thought you were going to add something.
I was just going to say thanks for calling in, but that was your job.
And I did it, I think. You did. Doing life with your adult children, do you think that would be a good resource to send? Good. Okay, and that's also available for purchase on the newlife.com store. Rosa, thank you for calling in today. 1-800-229-3000 is our number, and now we've got another call from Nebraska. We're number one in Nebraska today. I love it. This is Aaliyah. Welcome to New Life Live, and thanks for listening to us on the New Life app.
Hi, yeah.
How can we help you today?
So my question is, sorry if I sound out of breath. I'm actually walking to work.
Good for you. Get those steps in.
Yeah. Okay, so how can I cope with surrendering to God when he asks me to do crazy stuff? And the crazy stuff is because yesterday I was at church and I just had this random thought like, hey, and I was talking to the ladies in the church, and I was like, I need to get rid of my books because there's a lot of them that have like cussing in it and like very dirty scenes in it. And I'm like, can you guys offer me a like good like Christian recommendation? And last night I got in my bed about 11 o'clock midnight, and God told me, he was like, get those books and, you know, put them in a tote. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And eventually, yeah, I got up, put the books in the tote, and then there was this one book that, like, broke my heart. And I'm like, God, please let me finish reading this book. I just started it. And I eventually put it in the tote, but it was very hard for me.
Mm-hmm. Was it one of these books that has explicit scenes and language in it, too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But you wanted to finish this book in particular. Why is that?
It was the third book in a series.
Okay. So you just wanted to finish the series. JJ, what do you think?
And what's your question, Aaliyah? Could you restate it
so,
again?
Like, how can I cope with surrendering to God when he asks me to do crazy stuff?
Like getting rid of all your books.
Yeah, like getting rid of all your books.
And when you say
when you
say cope, what do you mean by that? Cope? Did you do it?
Like,
or you struggling to do it?
I did it. Like all the books that was in my room, I still have to go through my storage unit. But it's just like very heartbreaking because I don't know how much money I spent on all my books, but I do have like a mini library. And it's just like, I don't know what to do on my books.
So God just told you to put them in a tote bag or something. Did he say throw them away or burn them or give them away or anything like that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. JJ, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, Aaliyah, is that correct, Aaliyah?
Yes.
Okay. Aaliyah, you're in good company because the scripture is filled with people who God said to do some kind of crazy things. And many of them struggled with those instructions. Many of them delayed following through on those instructions. Many of them came up with their own plan, nuanced what God suggested or what God commanded. Some of them did the exact opposite of what God told them to do. So you're in good company. And by the way, all of us, right? Myself included, it is sometimes really hard to surrender to God's will because we are short-sighted. We only see the immediate, what's in front of us, and God sees it all. He has the whole of history, the whole timeline of history before him because he's outside of time. And trusting in him is good for us, but it can be really, really difficult. So there's a couple of things I think that can be helpful in this regard. Whenever we're trying to understand and then follow through on God's will, God's direction, we want to look at four streams or four ways that God communicates with us. Certainly, he communicates through his word, right? The Holy Bible, and that's unerring, infallible. And so anytime we get something in scripture, thou shalt not kill, okay, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of nuance there. Nothing hard to figure out there, correct? But then he also communicates with us through prayer, through things that we sense, like what happened with you is you're sitting in your room or on your bed or whatever, and you just sense God say, go and get those books, put them in a tote right now. Okay, so that's a different way, but it's more subjective. How do I know that this was God and not just me and my thoughts? And that's where we want to run it through the first one, which is God's word, but we also want to run it through the third one, which is that Scripture tells us that there's great wisdom in the counsel of many. In other words, God speaks to us through other wise people who walk with the Lord. And so it's always good, anytime I get a sense that God is leading me to do a thing or not do a thing, is to talk with my fellow believers who I know walk with the Lord, who have wisdom, to say, hey, here's what I'm sensing. What do you get? What do you think? What do you think about this? How should I do this? And then finally circumstances, and we can get into that later. But certainly walking through those four streams, whenever all four line up, that gives us a pretty clear indication this is where God's leading us. But we also recognize sometimes he asks us to surrender things that are hard to let go of because we're trusting in something that he wants us to let go of so we can more accurately trust in him.
Mark, about 20 seconds?
I don't know if I can do this in 20 seconds.
I was just thinking maybe leave her a thought or something that she can think on when we come back from the break, because we are coming up to the break. Do you have something quick to say, Aaliyah?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Only because we need to go to the break right now. We'll take your thought. We'll take Mark's thoughts, JJ's thoughts, everybody's thoughts, and your thoughts too. Give us a call. 1-800-229-3000.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And we were talking to Aaliyah in Omaha, Nebraska just before the break, and I think, Mark, you had a thought, and then we'll hear JJ's
You
fourth.
severely overestimated my ability to communicate amazing insights in
10
seconds.
Yes.
In 10
Yes.
seconds. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have tons to say. I think JJ really covered it well. I mean, here's what I would say to you, Aaliyah, because I think we all struggle with this. And as JJ said, you know, the sermon yesterday actually was on Abraham and having to sacrifice Isaac. So obviously not quite the same thing, but metaphorically it is the same thing here. And sometimes we don't understand why God wants us to do something, but it sounds like in this situation you clearly do understand why God wants you to do it. And I'm sure other people can probably correlate with this. I mean, I've struggled with this too, where I'm in the middle of watching a show or a series, and then stuff happens in there, and you're like, I don't know if I want to continue watching this. That happened to me recently, and I'd watched the whole season of this one show, and then I'm like halfway through the second, and I'm like, I'm not going to watch the rest of it. It just doesn't really resonate with my values.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped doing it. And, you know, it's hard at first to do that, especially when you're really into something. But here's what I would challenge you. If you really spent a lot of money on something and you purchased something and then you realize that that thing was actually causing you cancer, would you continue using it if you knew it was slowly killing you? I don't know if you would. What do you think about that thought?
No, I wouldn't. That's why it was like pretty easy to get rid of every other book except for that one. But my also hang up is God hasn't told me, where to take these books. So I'm thinking, let me, donate it to the library. But also my other thought is, am I enabling other people to pick up these books if I put them, take them to the library?
Well, that's a really good thought, because if it's not good for you, should it be good for other people? So I encourage you to ponder on that. I think you just take it step by step right now. I mean, that's what Abraham did in the story with Isaac. He just took it step by step, and God told him what to do in the end. So I think you really know what to do. It's just hard. But, Jesus once said, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably a good verse to meditate on. I think Take Your Life Back would be a great book for you.
So see, what we're going to do is if the Lord tells you to get rid of all those books, then you can start replacing them with books from the newlife.com store.
We've got lots of books
starting with here. Take Your Life Back. We're going to send you that at no cost. Yes.
Well, yes. Yep, it's going to replace the one she's
exactly,
having to get rid of.
And it's going to be much more amazing.
Yes, yes, indeed. Aaliyah, thank you so much for calling in today here on New Life Live. Marc Cameron and 𝑳𝒊𝒄𝒆 are taking your calls this hour and next. And JJ is one of the presenters at our Every Man's Battle Intensive. Plus, he's also the co-host of our Every Man's Battle podcast. And JJ, you guys saved a heavy topic for the second to last episode of the season. Tell us a little bit about the impact of childhood sexual abuse on adult behavior.
Yeah, we sure did, Brian. It was, and we say so at the beginning of the podcast. It's a pretty heavy topic, but we're trying to look at it, especially from the perspective of how does this play out as an adult? If you experience childhood sexual abuse, what does that end up looking like in your adult life? And so oftentimes, addiction dates back to or ties back to our childhood sexual abuse, sometimes as a way to escape those feelings of shame that we felt in childhood from the abuse, or sometimes it's as a way to explain to our brain. It's like, I feel this sense of I'm broken.
Oh no, did we lose JJ? I think we lost JJ.
It sounded like that was going to be amazing what he was going to say.
So now
behavior.
You're back. Okay. Hey, we lost you for like the last 10 seconds. So whatever you said, would you mind repeating it? Rewind. Stop. Play.
I'm sorry. I lost you guys for a second.
Oh, you lost us too.
But you sound a lot better now. So
yeah. So,
okay.
So we lost about 20 seconds of what you said.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I don't know where I dropped, but I was just saying that so oftentimes our childhood sexual experiences, we either use our addiction to kind of numb the pain and shame from those, or we use our acting out as a way to explain. It's like it's the reason why, it's the smoking gun for why I feel the way I do inside. Which whenever you experience childhood sexual abuse, it leaves you with this feeling of shame that's different than other abuses, because our bodies sometimes the victim of childhood sexual abuse will talk about how they feel like their body betrayed them because they might have experienced arousal in some way during the abuse. And so they go, is there something wrong with me that I was aroused during that abuse? Or because the feeling of closeness, maybe this person kind of takes a special interest in you, and that feels good because it's so different than the pain of being abandoned or ignored by your family, and that feels confusing. And so we're looking for the answer to, why do I feel so bad about myself? And it sometimes shows up in our sexually addictive behaviors or our sabotaging behaviors.
Very good. So you can check out this episode of the Every Man's Battle podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like and subscribe too. And thanks to everyone who's already subscribed, and to everyone who shares these podcasts with their friends and family members who they know can benefit from them. Maybe you hear something and you go, oh, if only so-and-so can hear it. Well, they can. You just share the link or however it works, and you get it to them, and then they watch it, and their life could change. If you watch us on YouTube, the Every Man's Battle podcast, make sure you like and subscribe to always get notified when we put out a new episode. And looks like the final one of season 2 is coming out next week. And don't forget the Every Man's Battle Intensive. That starts the weekend of July 18th in Dallas. There's still time to register and for you to get an early bird discount. You can get the details at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Going to take a quick break and got lots more calls coming up on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to Intimacy and Marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening and watching today. And at one time or another, even the happiest people feel lost, hopeless, and alone. Many don't know where to turn, but then they find New Life Live, they call in, and they get some great advice, and they're able to apply that to their situation. The advice and resources we provide on this radio program and podcast are made possible by you, our generous financial supporters. We also have life recovery groups and workshops, an online video library, and so much more, all made possible by your contributions, large and small. You can make a one-time gift or become one of our monthly Club New Life members. Details are at newlife.com, or you can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Back to the phones now. To Seattle, Washington we go. Here is Lynn, who is listening on Sirius XM Channel 131. Welcome, Lynn, to New Life Live.
Hi.
Hi. How can we help you today?
Okay. Well, we have an adult daughter who's 43 years old, and she lives in another state now. We also have another daughter.
Are you there, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm there. We have another daughter who passed away 2.5 years ago from cancer. She was 38. Yeah. Well, so the other daughter that lives out of state that's 43 has had a lot of issues since she was 16, making bad decisions one after another, multiple marriages, had her children taken away from her, is in another bad relationship. They can't pay their rent, they can't buy food, they can't hold down a job. And in the last 2 years, we've helped them out an awful lot with money, even got them into an apartment and that. And we've decided no more. Well, now she's back to her accusing us of, not understanding her and excuse me for trying to help myself. And I wish it was me who died and not Jessica. You'd be happier.
Oh, my goodness.
And we've just decided that until she gets help, and you know, I've talked to her about this, that we can't communicate with her anymore because it's tearing me apart and dragging me down. And it tears me apart to not talk to her either, but I can't help her. She doesn't want to be helped. So am I doing the right thing by not talking to her, by blocking her and not having communication?
Lynn, what happened at 16 years old? You said it was since 16 that she started to make bad decisions. What happened back then?
Well, her dad retired from the service, and she had a sexual relationship with a young man, and she came to us about it and told us and apologized. And of course, you know, we didn't treat her bad for it. We tried to help her, but then she got into high school and she started doing drugs, and that she did many years of drugs. And I tried taking her to counseling when she was 16. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. She treated her sister terrible in school, made fun of her, just kept escalating from there.
So you're not aware of anything that happened. I mean, I know you're observing that she had an early sexual relationship, but you don't know what may have led to that, this acting out, this risk-taking behavior.
No, I don't. When her sister, our other daughter, was alive, we had many talks, and she said, "Mom, you and Dad treated me and raised me just like you did her. She's made bad choices, and you were good parents. You can't feel responsible for her, but yet I do, because I love her and she's my daughter."
Yeah. And sometimes...
And I don't know why she's done all this for so many years.
Yeah. Is she still in addiction now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to help someone who's in addiction, because they're not really helping themselves. And yeah, this risk-taking behavior comes from somewhere. Sometimes something happens to people, like sexual abuse or something like that, and they don't tell. Not because the parent or the family member's not safe, but just because they feel so much shame. So something happened way back when. But you're right here, I think. I mean, she's using manipulation and blame here to try and get you to continually help her, but it's codependency. It's enabling in the end, because she's not making good choices. I mean, you're giving her resources to help herself up, and she's continuing to dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And so it is difficult. And I don't know if you heard my opening at the beginning of the show. I was talking about the difference about feeling responsible for, being responsible for, and being responsible to. You can only be responsible for your own actions in the end, and your own consequences. And sometimes when we rescue people, when they should be doing this work themselves, we rob them of the opportunity to change. And you've probably heard this before, but addicts often only change once they hit rock bottom. So while it is difficult, while it is painful, I think if you continue to bail her out, you'll just see more of the same.
JJ?
Right. Yeah. And if my husband and I don't bail her out, she says horrible things to us.
And that's going to be part. Sure. Yeah, you're just going to have to learn how to tolerate that and to be able to separate that from that's an addiction mindset versus who you really are. And if you get the opportunity to be able to ask her, hey, way back when you were 16, did something happen? I'd love to know more about that, if you feel vulnerable enough to share that with me.
Yeah. Okay. You know, the challenge that you're facing, Lynn, is that I use the same analogy frequently on the show, but boundaries are for us, they're not for other people. And you're setting a boundary that says, I'm not willing to overextend myself in a way that's enabling to others. And you're setting a boundary that says, I'm not willing to engage in conversation that is damaging, that is hurtful with you. Okay, so you've set those boundaries for yourself. But when we set boundaries and the other person isn't willing to honor those boundaries, then there is a separation in the relationship. And so the analogy or the imagery that I use all the time is from Mark chapter 10, Jesus set a boundary. He was interacting with the rich young ruler. He asks him, what must I do to be saved? We go through the law, right? And then he says, one thing you lack, go and sell all that you have, give it to the poor, and come follow me. And the scripture says that he went away sorrowful because he had great wealth. At that point, Jesus didn't chase him down and say, how about half? He didn't negotiate with him. He left the boundary where it was.
Yeah.
He said, this is the boundary.
Okay.
If you're going to follow me, you have to give everything, sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and come follow me. Because he was going after the man's heart. His heart was that he loved his wealth rather than people. Okay. So here is the situation, Lynn, with your daughter. You're setting a boundary, and she's not walking away sorrowful. She's walking away angry. She's walking away saying, how dare you treat me this way? But you don't want to go and then negotiate and say, well, how about half? What if we do it this way? What if we do it that way? I've set the boundary where I need it to be for me to be healthy. And it's up to her to decide whether she's going to honor that boundary or not, as to whether or not she's going to be part of your life, whether you're going to let her into your space, your yard, or not. Right. So it's just really important that when we're setting boundaries for ourselves, it's going to exclude some people from our lives, at least in some capacity, because they're not willing to honor those boundaries. But the boundaries for me, it's not for them.
Mm-hmm. Mark.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's by setting that boundary, it's come to that point of no communication is actually a good thing.
It can be. Now, the only question I would ask, though, Lynn, is how will she let you know if she has changed, if she's willing to live by the boundaries that you've set if there's no communication? What would that look like?
Well, she has 2 adult children that she can let them know that she wants to communicate with me. Also, she has our daughter who passed away. My son-in-law has remarried, and we're in a good relationship with them and the new wife, and she can contact him, and he would let us know. And then, of course, we would get back with her.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah, and I gave her, when I blocked her last week, I said, look, I'm going to block you for a while. If you need to get a hold of me, contact your dad, and we'll call you together and talk to you together, because we figured if she talks to Jerry with me, she won't tell me send me pictures of how she has no food in her refrigerator for her son and this and that and want money, because I'm an easy pick,
Yeah, it sounds like you've done the right thing here. You've left a door open and a way for her to contact you.
Would Boundaries be the best book to send to Lynn?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good book.
All right, we will do that. Lynn, thanks for calling in today. We've got more calls coming up, but we're still waiting for you to call, and we're going to be here for a whole nother hour at 1-800-229-3000. Grab an open line right now. 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be
his.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, let's get your call up on the board, 1-800-229-3000, if you want to talk about disappointment or fear, anxiety, disrespect, narcissism, breakups. Let's talk about it at 1-800-229-3000. Quick call here from Penny in Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. You had a comment on an earlier caller?
Yes. I was listening to Aaliyah when she spoke about the Lord wanted her to get rid of her books. I can remember many years ago, I had amassed a great collection of CDs. This is when CDs were first coming about, and you could get 12 for a penny if you joined Aaliyah or somebody.
I remember those days.
I had tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, in the middle of the night, probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I got them all, and the Lord told me to put them in the trash. And I put them in the trash, and I looked, and I said, ooh, I got some good stuff here, Lord. Are you sure? And I put them in the trash, and they stayed there. And it just helped me. The music took me to a place mentally that I didn't need to go. Remembering past whatever, and just being an escape. And so I can relate to what she's going through, but I will say it was one of the best decisions. And if she gets rid of that junk, because that's what it basically is, junk, stuff that has no real value, it will be one of the best decisions she ever does. Help you unclog your mind, unclog your spirit from all of that gooky stuff that you listen to. And I would applaud her for doing this and listening, because it took me a while to obey, but eventually I did.
Amen. Thanks for calling in with that encouragement. Totally agree with you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Aaliyah, I hope you're still listening. JJ, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I was just saying it is so true, and we do feel it's so funny. While we're wrestling with the decision on whether to obey God or not, it feels so heavy. And then as soon as we actually give up the thing that he's asking us to give up, we feel so light. It's like, oh, this is what he wanted me to experience. Oh, because he loves me. Oh, it's for my good. Yeah, like it's so fun. And I'm the chief of sinners in this. It's so funny how we get in our head that God is, mad at me, or he's holding out on me, or he's wanting me to give this up because he doesn't want me to have something good. And in fact, what he really wants is my freedom. He wants me to enjoy life more, and just what Penny was describing, right? Your heart, your mind, your spirit all feel better after you follow through on that obedience.
Yeah, so whether it's 12 CDs for a penny like Penny had, or hundreds or thousands of dollars in books like Aaliyah had, I mean, if the Lord's telling you to do it, it's not easy, but it's what we got to do sometimes. Pete, looks like you were in a similar situation here, calling in from WAVA in Washington, D.C. Go ahead, Pete.
Yes, I'm actually further on along in my life, but I would say, listening to JJ and you all over the years, I had aspects of pleasing and vacillation, and while I'm lucky enough, here's some hope, that I don't have gambling, drinking, smoking in my life, no, not porn, I had clutter. And the key factor I want to say that how New Life has helped is when she was talking about the question that Mark asked, why are you having trouble coping? Excellent question, but I think what you weren't hearing maybe was the grief associated with that loss. When first God contacts you and says, I want this best for you, then he, if you don't have a cadre of coaches and people around you, and maybe you've been reading these books, and I'm guessing, being 50 and having to know what's out there, 2 of the series that were influential, one of these series ends with the dominating sexual abuser being freed by having a baby and being with these people. And several of these women have taken this as a model. And the 2 books I'm referring to are Twilight and 50 Shades. And while they are not part of my bookshelf, I have to be culturally aware as a mentor as to what the messages were.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I'm going to say something that sounds a lot like Mark, because you always listen to a British accent better, and I love him.
So that's what I'm doing wrong.
You
I
might be
gotta
able to
adopt
do
a British
the accent better than me. Go ahead.
Right, I've heard you, Mark, on Focus, and I heard you, Mark, on, and I'm a lot like you in your personality and what you struggle with. So let me just leave out the listeners with this. Grief can feel like down as he removes the idols from our heart, because he just wants you.
He sounds more like Marc Cameron than Marc Cameron sounds like Marc Cameron.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
So what are your thoughts on
thanks
what...
thanks for sharing that, Pete. And you're so right. It is grief. It is grief.
Yes.
Whenever we have loss, we go through the stages of grief, and we struggle with letting things go and adjusting to the new norm. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, JJ.
And we can experience grief even over things that are obviously bad for us, that there's no question. I remember going back as an adult to my parents' house, and somehow circumstances orchestrated where I was left at the house alone. Everyone else had gone on to whatever it was we were going to. And I went looking for the box of pornography under Dad's bed, and it was gone. And I felt this sense of loss, like these childhood friends that had been with me for decades through all the ups and downs of my adolescence were suddenly gone. And I felt like, oh, where did they go? Oh my gosh, what's happened? And we're talking about something that's obviously bad. It's not, there's not a question. It's not like, well, could I make something good out of this? There's nothing good in it. And yet I still felt that sense of loss. And so we do have to walk through the grieving process and say, okay, God, help me to see where you're taking me to acceptance and freedom on the other side.
Yeah, and what's important to understand too is these chemicals that get released in our brain, dopamine, which is your reward chemical, and oxytocin, which is your bonding chemical. These chemicals are actually values neutral, meaning that we can feel a reward or get bonded to things that are not good for us, that are bad for us, as well as things that are good for us. You get the same, you can get a dopamine hit from going and jogging as well as from doing cocaine. So, one is bad for your body and the other one isn't, but the same chemicals get released. And so it's hard for us to break that pattern in our brains.
Daryl, Christopher, John, Vincent, everyone else, we're going to talk to you in a little bit, but really quick question as we end this hour. Obviously, when it's bad entertainment choices, we can see that, oh yeah, I can see why the Lord wants me to get rid of this. But what if it's something good or just neutral? I mean, and you feel like the Lord is telling you, hey, set this aside, spend more time with me. How do you guys handle that?
Well, that's for me where I do go back to what I was talking to Aaliyah about, which is I need to run it through the lens of Scripture first, but then also through the lens of other people who I know walk with the Lord, to say, hey, I'm getting the sense that God's leading me to change jobs, let's say. And I have a great job and I love it, but he's asking me to change jobs because I'm spending too much time at work, not enough time with family. What do you think? Give me some feedback. Let's pray together. I don't want to make those decisions by myself in isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good can keep us from God's best.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yes.
And I love what you said before, JJ, about asking other people, getting other people involved, because sometimes it doesn't make sense at first. But if you learn to listen to the Lord's voice, you'll recognize it.
Yeah. Very true.
And you can't go wrong following his voice.
Very, very true. All right, if you've got problems and challenges in your life and not sure where to turn, not sure who to ask, 𝑳𝒊𝒆 and Marc Cameron are going to be in the studio for another hour at 1-800-229-3000. Perhaps you want to ask somebody, but you're estranged from that person and you want to be able to fix that relationship. We can try to help. 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.